Again, let's bring it back to the resurrection. If the resurrection happened, if the resurrection is true, then Christianity is true. Moving on to the next one. This is Letters from a Deconstructed Son. His biggest issues with Christianity. The countless errors and contradictions found in the Bible. This is a big one for people in the deconstruction movement. I think it's always important if somebody brings up things like this is to ask them for a little more detail, because when people talk about errors in the Bible, they might be talking about errors in the transmission of the manuscripts, or they might be actually talking about what they perceive to be factual errors in the text itself. So it's always good to get a good idea of which one they're talking about. Personally, I don't think there are any unresolvable contradictions in the Bible. I think they can, in fact, I've got an article on my website. I think it's 17 things. Let me look it up because I think it's worth taking a look at. So a lot of people make some false assumptions about what we're talking about when we say the Bible is without error. Because some of the things that we're not saying, okay, here it is. It's 17 mistakes you might be making if you think the Bible has errors. And this is my summary of the introduction to the book, Making Sense of Bible Difficulties, and that's by Geisler and Howe. So, if you're assuming there's contradictions, you might be assuming that the unexplained is not explainable, right? When scientists come across an anomaly or an unexplained phenomenon, they don't just throw up their hands in defeat and say, well, it must be a contradiction. But the same thing applies to the Bible, right? Just because it's not explained doesn't mean it's not explainable. I'll just walk through some of these points very quickly. You might also be presuming the Bible guilty until it's proven innocent, right? You might be confusing the fallible interpretations of people, because people have wrong interpretations, but you might be confusing that with infallible revelation. You might be misunderstanding the context. So there's about 17 things we walk through in that article. I would urge you to go look at that. But if someone is talking about the text transmission, I do also have a couple of podcasts on this where we talk about how the Bible was copied. And it is true that of the 5,000 or so manuscripts we have of the New Testament in Greek, there are hundreds of thousands of variations between those different manuscripts. There's no denying that. That's no secret, right? But that's because the manuscripts were copied by hand by people. And so when we're talking about those types of, I don't call them errors, they're variants, they're variations. The vast majority of those variations don't affect the meaning. Even skeptical scholars will tell you that. Bart Ehrman has admitted this, that the vast majority of those variations between the manuscripts do not affect the meaning of the text at all. So we're talking about things like a word order switch, Jesus Christ, maybe another manuscript says Christ Jesus, different spellings of different words, maybe a word is missing. So these variations do not hinder, for the most part, scholars' ability to know what the original text said. In fact, it's all those variations when they put them all together that help them determine the original wording, because we don't have any of those original manuscripts anymore. Now, there is a small percentage of variations where scholars aren't sure. One example is when the disciples come to Jesus and they say this kind, they couldn't cast out the demons. And Jesus says this kind only comes out by, and some of your Bibles will say fasting, and some of your Bibles will say fasting and prayer. And that's because of the two different main text traditions. Scholars aren't sure which is the original, if it's just fasting or fasting, prayer and fasting. So there are a few like that. I've got, again, some articles on my website about those. I write about that in my book, Another Gospel. But here's kind of how I would just big picture that question. Again, this is a deconstructed son. His issue with Christianity is the countless errors and contradictions found in the Bible. Again, let's bring it back to the resurrection. If the resurrection happened, if the resurrection is true, then Christianity is true. Even if there are, I don't believe there are errors in the Bible or contradictions. But even if there were, the resurrection still happened and Christianity would still be true. And interestingly, there are about 10 non-Christian historical sources written within about 150 years of Jesus' life, from which you can deduce that the resurrection actually happened. I'm not saying you can prove it from that, But I'm saying you could conclude reasonably that the resurrection happened. Just from non-Christian history within 150 years of Jesus' life, you can read about Jesus as a historical person. You can know that he had a brother named James. There was darkness and an earthquake at his crucifixion, that he was known to be a wonder worker, that he was known to be virtuous, that his closest followers believed they saw him alive after he was dead and were willing to be tortured and go to their deaths, maintaining that testimony to be true. That's powerful evidence that the resurrection of Jesus actually did happen. Again, also from those non-Christian sources, you could read about Jesus being crucified by Pontius Pilate. So historical facts surrounding the resurrection are really quite strong. And it's really just a matter of what you do with that evidence. What do you think happened? If all of those facts are true, how do you explain it? And I think the most reasonable explanation is that Jesus actually was raised from the dead. So again, if the resurrection is true, Christianity is true, then we can talk about the Bible. And when it comes to those variations, those hundreds of thousands of variations, even again, skeptical scholar Bart Ehrman will tell you that there aren't any of those variations that would call into question a core Christian doctrine or a core point of the gospel. So in my view, if someone is going to reject Christianity because of that, I think there's more going on. And that can be what's going on in some of these, as I think we're going to see as we continue with this letter.